AALF Global released an interview with Ilia Topuria that was filmed before his fight against Justin Gaethje. Topuria responded to Conor McGregor accusing him of copying him. He also revealed that he really has no relationship with Dana White.
What is your relationship with Conor McGregor?
As a professional and as a fighter, let's say not as a professional, as a fighter, I like him. I like to watch him fight. Actually, he's one of my favorite fighters to watch. I respect for everything he has done in the sport, inside the octagon, for everything he has done outside the octagon. I don't want to talk about that. That's his private life. If he's saying that I'm copying him or something like that, at least I'm doing it better than him.
Relationship with Dana White like, and what can you tell us about him in general?
I have almost like zero relationship with him. Yeah, I don't have any relationship. I never spoke with him about any fight, about anything. Like maybe I saw him like in Las Vegas or in another place that I went to watch a UFC event. Yeah, I'm talking about Dana. What I think about him, I respect him as a businessman. He built a monster. He built something that gives us the platform to shine. So I have nothing but respect for him.
Ilia Topuria also opened up about his divorce in this unreleased interview and the hardships he had to endure going through it.
If I expected her to behave like she did, I don't know. To be honest, things happen in life. No, I didn't expect it. Of course, it's not easy when you go through those kind of situations. Every morning I was waking up with my daughter and my family, so it changed in 1 second. So it was a little bit hard, but at the end of the day, when something is out of my control.
Picture this: a locked phone. Missed calls piling up, one after another. Messages left on read, not out of anger, but out of something far more serious. This is the story of how one fighter's darkest night in the octagon triggered a complete transformation in one of boxing's biggest stars. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why Anthony Joshua decided the fight game was no longer something to take lightly. Let's rewind. Ilia Topuria walked into that lightweight title fight as the man who could not lose. The betting odds loved him. The pundits loved him. Everyone loved him. He had already dismantled fighters that his opponent, Justin Gaethje, had failed to beat. On paper, this wasn't even supposed to be close. Topuria, El Matador, carried himself like a champion who already knew the outcome before the first bell rang. He had celebrated the night before. Not for the first time either. It had almost become part of his pre-fight ritual, a signature move from a man who believed the stars themselves were aligned in his favor. And for 2 rounds, it looked like he was right. Topuria came out sharp, dangerous, nearly finishing the fight in round 2. The crowd could feel it. This was the coronation everyone expected. Then something shifted. Gaethje started walking forward. Round after round, he began piling on damage, relentless, calculated, refusing to fold under the weight of Topuria's reputation. And slowly, painfully, the fight that was supposed to be a formality turned into a war of attrition. By the time the horn sounded before the final round, Topuria's corner had seen enough. They threw in the towel. The undefeated record, gone. The aura of invincibility, shattered. For the very first time in his professional career, Ilia Topuria tasted defeat. Now here's where this story takes an unexpected turn, because thousands of miles away, a heavyweight boxing legend was watching. And what he saw didn't just entertain him. It disturbed him. Anthony Joshua has seen it all in his career. Titles won. Titles lost. Knockouts delivered and knockouts absorbed. But something about watching Topuria's face in that final round, the exhaustion, the disbelief, the realization that invincibility is a myth, hit him harder than expected. Joshua didn't want to criticize Topuria. He made that clear. This wasn't about pointing fingers at another fighter's choices. This was about a wake-up call, one that Joshua couldn't ignore. Because in that moment, watching a dominant, gifted, seemingly unstoppable champion get physically and mentally broken down on the biggest stage in the sport, Joshua saw something in himself. A mirror. A warning. And so, right there, in real time, something changed. Joshua made a decision. He stopped replying to people. He cut off casual contact. Calls went unanswered. Messages went unread. Not out of arrogance. Not out of disrespect. But because he came to a brutal realization about the sport that has defined his entire adult life. It's not lit, Joshua said. For words that carry an entire philosophy. Because to the outside world, boxing and mixed martial arts look glamorous. Bright lights. Big paydays. Trash talk. Entrances that feel like rock concerts. But Joshua wants you to understand something most fans never see. Behind the spectacle is brutality. Behind the highlight reels is risk. Real, physical, life-altering risk. And you don't get to treat that with anything less than total seriousness. Joshua explained that people in his life, people who want him to be constantly available, constantly social, constantly on, don't always understand what it takes to survive at the top of this sport. And when he goes quiet, when he becomes distant, it isn't personal. It's survival. It's preparation. It's the difference between stepping into that ring fully focused or stepping in with even 1% of his mind somewhere else. Because in combat sports, 1% can be the difference between victory and a night like the one Topuria just endured. Think about that for a second. Topuria did everything right on paper. The skill was there. The record was there. The odds were there. And still, none of it mattered once Gaethje refused to break. Talent alone doesn't guarantee survival in this business. And that terrifying truth is exactly what pushed Joshua to change his own habits. I saw someone who was destined to win, Joshua said, reflecting on Topuria's fall. The stars were aligned. Everything pointed toward victory. And yet the fight game reminded everyone watching that destiny means absolutely nothing once the cage door closes. Nothing is guaranteed. Not your resume. Not your reputation. Not the crowd chanting your name. Joshua isn't condemning Topuria for celebrating before the fight. He was careful to say that. Everyone processes pressure differently, and Topuria is entitled to his own approach. But watching that fight forced Joshua to ask himself a hard question. Was he giving this sport everything it demanded, or was he letting distractions creep into spaces that should be reserved for total focus? His answer was immediate. Get back to being uncontactable. Get back to being less accessible. Because the fight game is too serious, too unforgiving, too dangerous to treat like anything else. And now, that mindset is being tested in real time. Anthony Joshua, currently sitting at 29 wins and 4 losses, is preparing to step back into the ring on July 25th. His opponent, Christian Prina, a dangerous, largely untested threat with a record of 20 wins and just 1 loss, will be waiting for him inside the Jeddah Superdome in Saudi Arabia. This isn't just another fight on the schedule. This is Joshua's first real test since making this internal transformation. Since cutting off distractions. Since locking in with a level of intensity he says was directly inspired by watching another elite competitor get exposed on the biggest stage of his career. So when Joshua steps into that ring against Prina, know this. Every unanswered call. Every ignored message. Every moment of isolation leading up to fight night, it all led to this. Because Anthony Joshua watched the champion's world collapse in real time, and he refused to let the same thing happen to him. The question now is simple. Will this new level of focus be enough to carry Joshua to victory? Or will Prina be the next fighter to prove that in this business, nothing, absolutely nothing, is ever guaranteed?